When a rejected Omega mother was left to die in a plane crash with her infant son, she never expected the Alpha King himself to pull them from the wreckage and claim them both as his own. But the shocking reason behind his rescue would unravel a conspiracy that threatened to destroy the supernatural world forever. The private plane shuddered violently, and Lyra Whitmore knew with bone-deep certainty that her ex-mate had finally decided to kill her. "Please," she whispered to the pilot through the cockpit door, her 6-month-old son Kai crying in her arms. "Just tell me, did Reginald pay you to do this?" The pilot wouldn't meet her eyes, his hands white-knuckled on the controls as the small aircraft bucked through the storm. That was answer enough. 24 hours ago, she'd been standing in the Red Moon Pack courthouse, listening to Alpha Reginald Ashford denounce her in front of the Pack Council. Defective, he'd called her. An Omega who can't even produce a proper heir. The fact that Kai was perfectly healthy didn't matter. The baby wasn't an alpha, and in Reginald's eyes, that made him worthless. The rejection had been swift and brutal. Pack Law gave her 72 hours to leave the territory, but Reginald had graciously offered his private plane to send her to her aunt in Monteverde City. She should have known it was too convenient, too kind for a man who'd spent their entire mating treating her like a possession rather than a person. Another violent shake sent her crashing against the cabin wall. Through the window, she could see the Oregon mountains rising up like dark teeth in the storm. They were descending too fast, too steep, quote. "Mama's sorry." She breathed against Kai's downy head, tears streaming down her face. The baby had finally stopped crying, seeming to sense the gravity of their situation. His silver eyes, so unusual for a wolf pup, gazed up at her with an eerily ancient wisdom. "Pilots." The pilot's voice crackled over the intercom. "Brace for impact." Lyra wrapped herself around Kai, using her body as a shield. She thought of all the things she'd never get to teach him, all the birthdays she'd miss, all the firsts that would never come. At least they'd die together. At least Reginald wouldn't get the satisfaction of raising her son to be as cruel as his father. The plane hit the first tree with a sound like thunder. Windows shattered, metal screamed. Lyra held Kai tighter as they tumbled through space and time, her only thought to keep his small body protected from the horror unfolding around them. Then came the final impact, and darkness swallowed everything. Lyra woke to impossible warmth and the scent of alpine forest mixed with something else. Power, ancient and overwhelming. Her body screamed in protest as she tried to move, but gentle hands pressed her back down. "Easy." A deep voice commanded, and despite her pain, her Omega instincts immediately submitted to the authority in that tone. "You're safe now." Lyra forced her eyes open, blinking against harsh fluorescent lights. She wasn't in the wreckage anymore. Instead, she lay in what looked like a state-of-the-art medical facility, machines beeping softly around her. But more shocking than her survival was the man sitting beside her bed. She recognized him instantly, though they'd never met. Every wolf in North America knew that face, those storm-gray eyes, the midnight black hair, the aristocratic features that belonged on ancient statues. Dmitry Volkov, the Alpha King of the Northern Territories. "Kai," she gasped, trying to sit up. "My son is perfectly healthy," Dmitry said, gesturing to a nearby crib where Kai slept peacefully. "My healers examined him thoroughly. Not even a scratch, thanks to how you shielded him." Lyra stared at her son, then at the most powerful wolf in the hemisphere. "Why are you here?" "I was flying over the mountains when we saw your plane go down." His expression was unreadable. "My pilot wanted to continue to Seattle, but something." He paused, studying her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. "Something told me to investigate." "You saved us yourself?" The wreckage was scattered across half a mile of forest. "When we found you, you were technically dead, no heartbeat for 3 minutes. His jaw tightened. "But you were still curled around your son, still protecting him even in death." Lyra's throat burned with unshed tears. The pilot didn't survive. Though before he died, he was quite informative about who hired him. Dimitri's eyes flashed gold, his wolf rising to the surface. Reginald Ashford will answer for attempted murder. He's my former mate, she whispered. Pack law gives him nothing. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. No law, wolf or human, permits the murder of a mother and infant. Kai stirred in his crib, making soft baby noises. Without hesitation, Dmitri stood and lifted him with surprising gentleness, cradling the infant against his chest. Kai immediately settled, tiny fingers grasping at Dmitri's shirt. How long have I been unconscious? Lyra asked, mesmerized by the sight of the feared Alpha King holding her son like precious glass. 6 days. Your injuries were extensive: broken ribs, punctured lung, severe head trauma. My healers weren't sure you'd wake up. He glanced down at Kai. This little one refused to be separated from you. Screamed whenever we tried to move him to the nursery. He has quite the powerful voice for one so small. He's always been special, she said softly, even if his father couldn't see it. Dimitri's expression darkened. Tell me about Reginald Ashford. Over the next hour, Lyra found herself spilling everything the fairy tale, mating that turned into a nightmare. Reginald's obsession with having an alpha heir, the emotional abuse that escalated when Kai was born, and Omega. The Alpha King listened without interrupting, though she could smell his rage building like a storm. He rejected us both in front of the entire pack, she finished, said I was defective goods and Kai was a disappointment to the bloodline. Reginald Ashford is a fool, Dmitri said quietly, and he'll pay for his foolishness with everything he holds dear. The next morning, Dmitri returned with breakfast and an entourage that made Lyra's head spin. Lawyers, advisors, and guards filled her hospital room until there was barely space to breathe. What's happening? She asked, accepting the tray of food he handed her, personally an honor the Alpha King granted to no one, according to the shocked expressions around her. I'm claiming you both, Dmitri announced, his voice carrying the weight of royal decree. You and Kai are now under the official protection of the Northern Crown. The room erupted in whispers. Lyra's heart hammered against her ribs. I don't understand. We're nobody. I'm just a rejected Omega with a baby. You're survivors, he interrupted, and there's something you need to know about why your plane really crashed. He gestured to a woman with sharp features and calculating eyes. This is Vera Chen, my intelligence chief. Tell her what you discovered. Vera stepped forward, tablet in hand. The plane's maintenance logs were falsified. The aircraft had been sabotaged weeks ago, designed to fail at high altitude. But here's the interesting part. Reginald Ashford wasn't the only one who wanted you dead. Lyra's blood ran cold. What? In the past 6 months, 3 other Omega mothers, with Omega children, have died in suspicious accidents, all rejected by their alpha mates. All within days of leaving their packs. Vera's expression was grim. Someone is hunting rejected Omegas, and they're making it look accidental. Why? Lyra clutched Kai tighter, her protective instincts flaring. Why would anyone? That's what we need to find out, Dmitri said. But first, we need to make you disappear. Officially, you and Kai died in that crash. Unofficially, you're coming with me to the royal complex in Thornhaven. Quote, I can't accept that, Lyra protested. You don't even know us. Why would you risk your reputation harboring a rejected Omega? Something shifted in Dimitri's expression. A flash of old pain quickly masked. Because I know what it's like to lose someone to pack politics. And because your son. He paused, looking down at Kai, who was watching him with those unusual silver eyes. There's something special about him. Something that made me land in that storm when every instinct said to keep flying. Your Majesty, one of the advisors interrupted nervously. The council won't approve. A rejected Omega in the royal complex. The council serves at my pleasure, Dmitri said coldly, not the other way around. He turned back to Lyra. You have 2 choices. Come with me, and help us uncover why someone is murdering innocent Omegas. Or I can arrange safe passage to another country where you can start fresh. But if you run, we may never find out who's behind this. Lyra looked down at Kai. then up at the Alpha King. Every instinct screamed that this was dangerous, that getting involved with royal politics would only bring more pain. But the alternative, living in fear, always wondering who was hunting them and why seemed worse. "If I come with you," she said slowly, "what happens when your people find out? A rejected Omega can't just live in the royal complex without consequences." Dimitri's smile was sharp as a blade. "Then we won't tell them you're rejected. As far as anyone knows, you're my personal guest. A widow who lost her mate tragically, under my protection while you recover." "You want me to lie?" "I want you to survive," he corrected, "and to help me stop whoever is targeting women like you. Sometimes survival requires deception." Vera cleared her throat. "There's one more thing. The silver eyes, they're not just unusual, they're impossible. That trait was thought extinct centuries ago." "What trait?" Lyra demanded. "Oracle wolves," Vera said quietly. "Omegas who could see beyond the present. If your son is what I think he is, then someone isn't just hunting rejected Omegas, they're hunting specific bloodlines." The implications hit Lyra like a physical blow. Her baby wasn't just special, he was valuable. And someone had tried to kill them both to prevent him from growing into whatever power he might possess. "Well?" Dimitri asked. "What's your decision?" The royal complex at Thornhaven defied every expectation Lyra had about werewolf territories. Instead of the rustic pack houses she was used to, massive glass and steel towers reached toward the sky, connected by bridges that looked like frozen waterfalls. At the heart of it all stood the Crystal Palace, Dimitri's seat of power. "This will be your suite," Dimitri said, leading her through rooms that could have fit her entire former pack house. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked pristine forests and mountains. "The nursery adjoins your bedroom. Full security, private entrance, and a direct line to my office." Lyra set Kai down on the plush carpet, watching him immediately crawl toward a sunbeam. "This is too much. People will ask questions. Let them ask." Dimitri moved to the window, his reflection ghost-like in the glass. "My sister used these rooms, Con 10. They've been empty for 5 years." "Your sister?" "Murdered by a rejected mate who couldn't accept her choice to leave." His voice was carefully controlled. "The pack protected him, said it was his right as an alpha. By the time I became king and could challenge their laws, he'd vanished." The parallels to her own situation weren't lost on Lyra. "Is that why you saved us? Because of her?" "Partly." He turned to face her, and she was struck again by the intensity of his gaze. "But there's something else. When I touched you in that wreckage, when I brought you back." He shook his head. "It doesn't matter. You're here now, and you're safe." A knock interrupted whatever he might have said. An elegant woman entered, her white coat marking her as medical staff. "Your Majesty, Miss Whitmore. I'm Dr. Natasha Winters, the royal physician. I need to examine you both." The examination was thorough but gentle. Dr. Winters was particularly interested in Kai, running test after test while he played with medical instruments like toys. "Remarkable," she murmured, studying the results on her tablet. "His genetics are unique." "Unique how?" Lyra demanded. "The silver eyes aren't just a cosmetic trait. They're linked to enhanced neural development. His brain activity is far beyond normal for his age." She looked up. "Has he shown any unusual behaviors? Seeming to know things before they happen? Production's time. Reacting to people's emotions?" Lyra's mouth went dry. "Sometimes he cries before someone gets hurt. And he always knows when someone's lying, even as a baby. He gets fussy around dishonest people." Dr. Winters exchanged a meaningful look with Dimitri. Oracle wolves were thought to be legend. "If this is true, it stays between us," Dimitri commanded. "No one else knows until we understand what we're dealing with." Over the following days, Lyra settled into a routine that felt surreal. Breakfast, delivered by silent staff. Poffit. Walks through private gardens, with a discreet security detail. Afternoons spent with Vera Chen, going over files of other Omega deaths, looking for patterns, power. But the luxury came with invisible chains. She couldn't leave the complex without approval. Her communications were monitored. Every interaction was watched and reported. "I'm a prisoner," she said one evening when Dmitri came to check on them. Kai was asleep in his arms. The baby had developed an inexplicable attachment to the Alpha King. "You're protected," he corrected. "It's the same thing with prettier walls." She gestured around the opulent suite. "I traded Reginald's cage for yours." His jaw tightened. "Reginald would have killed you. I'm keeping you alive. By controlling every aspect of my life. Who I see, where I go, what I do." The words tasted bitter. "How is that different?" "Because you can leave whenever you choose," he said quietly. "The door isn't locked. But if you go, I can't protect you from whoever's hunting Oracle bloodlines. So I can choose between captivity or death." How generous. Dmitri set Kai gently in his crib before turning to face her fully. "What would you have me do? Let you wander freely while assassins hunt your son? Pretend I don't know you're in danger? I'd have you treat me like a person, not a possession to be protected." "You are not." He stopped, running a hand through his hair. "I'm not good at this. At boundaries. My sister used to say I was suffocating in my need to protect, but I'd rather have you hate me and be alive than lose someone else you care about." The words slipped out before she could stop them. He went very still. "Yes." The admission hung between them, weighted with implications. Lyra saw it then, the fear beneath his control, the desperate need to save her because he couldn't save his sister. "Okay," she said softly. "We'll do it your way. For now. But I need something in return." "Name it." "I want to be part of the investigation. Really part of it, not just a protected witness. I knew some of the women who died. I might see patterns others miss." Pyres. He considered for a long moment. "It could be dangerous." "Everything about my life is dangerous. At least this gives me purpose." "Very well." He moved toward the door, then paused. "Lyra, thank you for understanding." After he left, she stood at the window, looking out at the complex lights. She wasn't sure she did understand Prismarius. But she was beginning to realize that Dmitri Volkov was far more complicated than the cold Alpha King of legend. The video message arrived during breakfast. 3 weeks after Lyra's supposed death. "Play it again," Dmitri commanded, his voice deadly quiet. Lyra watched with growing horror as Reginald's face filled the screen once more. Her former mate looked haggard, desperate. Nothing like the polished alpha she'd known. "I know she's alive," Reginald said to the camera. "My sources in the north tell me the Alpha King has been harboring a woman and child. Return what's mine, Volkov, or I'll reveal the truth about your sister's death. You have 48 hours. The screen went black. "He's bluffing," Vera said, but uncertainty colored her voice. "There's nothing about Princess Anya's death that could power Enya." "There is," Dmitri interrupted. "And if he knows, then someone told him. Someone who was there that night." "What truth?" Lyra asked, though part of her already suspected. Dmitri was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was hollow. "My sister wasn't killed by her rejected mate. She killed him. In self-defense. But the blood rage. She couldn't stop. I had to." He broke off, unable to finish. "You had to stop her," Lyra whispered, understanding flooding through her. "You killed your own sister to protect others." The official story preserved her honor. A victim rather than a monster. But if Reginald exposes the truth, he looked at Kai, playing happily with blocks on the floor. "The council will demand blood. They'll say I'm compromised, unfit to judge cases of pack law. Everything I've built to protect Omegas will crumble." "So we run," Lyra said immediately. "Kai and I disappear, and you deny we were ever here." "No." The word was sharp, final. "I won't let him win." "This isn't about winning, isn't it?" Dimitri's eyes flashed gold. "He tried to murder you and your son. Now he threatens to destroy everything I've worked for unless I hand you back to finish the job. I won't do it. I won't do it." A knock interrupted them. One of the guards entered, face grave. "Your Majesty," Alpha Ashford is at the main gate. He brought witnesses from the council. Dimitri stood slowly, power radiating from every line of his body. How convenient. Vera, implement Protocol 7. Lyra, take Kai to the secure wing. I'm not hiding, Lyra said firmly. If this is about me, I should be there. Power? Absolutely not. You need me there. She met his gaze steadily. Reginald's weakness was always his ego. He'll overplay his hand if he sees me. Make mistakes. Vera nodded thoughtfully. She has a point, and with her ability to detect lies. Dimitri looked like he wanted to argue, but time was running out. Fine, but you stay behind me at all times. And if I tell you to run, I run, Lyra agreed. With Kai. The throne room was a study and barely contained violence when they arrived. Reginald stood at the center, flanked by 3 council members, while Dimitri's guards formed a protective wall. The temperature dropped noticeably when the Alpha King entered. Ashford, Dimitri said, settling onto his throne with casual grace. You're trespassing. I'm collecting what's mine. Reginald shot back, then his eyes found Lyra. Hello, mate. Former mate, Lyra corrected, stepping out from behind Dimitri despite his warning growl. You rejected me, remember? Defective goods, you called me, a mistake I'm willing to overlook. Reginald's smile was all teeth. Come home, Lyra. Both of you. We can try again for a proper heir. While you try to kill us again? She felt Kai wiggle in her arms, upset by the tension. I know you sabotaged the plane. Prove it, Reginald sneered. Oh wait, you can't. The pilot's dead. How convenient that only your savior's word stands between truth and fiction. Enough games, Dimitri said coldly. State your business or leave. Reginald pulled out a folder, thick with documents. 5 years ago, Princess Anya Volkov didn't die defending herself. She slaughtered 6 wolves in a blood rage, including her own mate. Her brother put her down like the rabid animal she was, then covered it up. Gasps echoed through the throne room. The council members shifted uneasily. These are sworn statements from witnesses, Reginald continued. Medical records showing the princess's unstable mental state. Evidence of the cover-up. He looked at Dimitri with triumph. Still think you're fit to judge me, King Killer? You're lying? Lyra said suddenly, her gift flaring to life. Not about the documents, those are real, but you're lying about how you got them. Reginald's smirk faltered. I don't know what you mean. Someone gave them to you, recently. Someone who wanted leverage. She stepped closer, ignoring Dimitri's warning rumble. Pose. Who was it, Reginald? Who told you about that night? Shut up, he snarled. Was it the same person who's been hunting Omega Mothers? The one who arranged the other accidents? Reginald went pale. I don't. You know exactly what I'm talking about. She could smell his fear now, sharp and acrid, calmly. You weren't supposed to mention them, were you? Just get me back and shut up about the rest. Enough. Reginald lunged forward, but Dimitri was faster. The Alpha King moved like lightning, slamming Reginald against the marble floor with enough force to crack stone. Speak, Dimitri commanded, power flooding the room. Who gave you this information? Reginald struggled, but the command of an Alpha King was absolute. Sterling, he gasped out. Professor Sterling from the Institute. He said if I could get her back, he'd make sure I got a proper heir. Said her bloodline was wrong, tainted, needed to be corrected or eliminated. The name sent shockwaves through the room. Professor Elias Sterling was the foremost expert on werewolf genetics, trusted by packs across the continent. The Oracle Wolves. Vera breathed. He's been tracking them. More than tracking, Dimitri said, releasing Reginald. Eliminating them. Guards, take Alpha Ashford into custody. Conspiracy and attempted murder. As Reginald was dragged away, shouting threats and demands, Dimitri turned to the council members. You've heard the truth. Someone is systematically murdering Omega mothers and children. Will the council support our investigation? The eldest member stepped forward. The allegations about your sister were true, Dimitri said simply. I ended her suffering before she could hurt anyone else. If that makes me unfit in your eyes, so be it. But I won't let more innocents die while we debate my worthiness. The council members exchanged looks, then bowed as one. The North stands with its king. What do you need? Access to Sterling's research. Everything the Institute has on Oracle bloodlines. He glanced at Lyra. And formal recognition that Lyra Whitmore and her son are under royal protection. Anyone who threatens them threatens the crown. As the throne room emptied, Lyra found herself shaking. Kai whimpered, responding to her distress, and she bounced him gently. You did well, Dimitri said quietly. Your gift saved us. Reginald was just a pawn, she replied. Sterling, whoever he is, he's the real threat. We'll stop him. Together? He met her gaze, and something shifted between them. Together. The Institute for Genetic Advancement looked innocent enough. A gleaming research facility nestled in the mountains, all solar panels and sustainable architecture. But as Lyra studied, the files spread across Dimitri's office, she felt a chill that had nothing to do with the autumn air. 20 years of research, Vera said, highlighting passages on her tablet. Sterling's been obsessed with oracle wolves since he was a graduate student. His early work was theoretical, but then, Then oracle children started being born again, Dimitri finished. And instead of celebrating their return, he decided they were a threat. Lyra looked up from a photograph of a smiling family, mother, father, and twin boys with distinctive silver eyes. According to the file, all 4 had died in a house fire 2 years ago. But why? She asked. What threat could children pose? Look at this. Vera pulled up another document. Sterling's classified research proposal. He believes oracle wolves upset the natural order. That their ability to see beyond the present gives them too much power over normal wolves. Dimitri leaned back in his chair, Kai sleeping peacefully in his arms. The baby had refused to nap anywhere else, and the Alpha King had given up trying to maintain professional distance. Preface. He's creating a master race, Dimitri said quietly. Eliminating bloodlines he considers inferior or dangerous. While keeping some for breeding, Vera added. Look at these transfer orders. 3 Omega children, taken from their families and sent to a research facility that doesn't officially exist. Lyra's blood ran cold. He's collecting them. The ones he doesn't kill, he's experimenting on. A knock interrupted them. Dr. Winters entered, her usual composure cracked. Your Majesty, I've found something. About Kai. They all turned to look at the sleeping baby. His latest blood work shows something extraordinary, she continued. His genetics aren't just rare, they're pure. Undiluted oracle lineage going back generations. In Sterling's eyes, he'd be the ultimate prize. Over my dead body, Dimitri growled. That might be Sterling's plan, Vera said grimly. With the king dead and Kai in his custody, he could shape the future of our entire species. Lyra stood abruptly, unable to sit still any longer. We can't just wait for him to make a move. Those children in his facility, we have to help them. It's too dangerous, Dimitri began, but she cut him off. Everything about our lives is dangerous. At least this would mean something. She gestured at the files. How many more families have to die while we play it safe? She's right, Vera said unexpectedly. Our intelligence suggests Sterling is planning something big for the Winter Summit. Every pack leader on the continent will be there. If he's going to make a play for power, he'll do it then, Dimitri finished. 3 weeks to prepare. I want to go to the facility, Lyra said. Get evidence of what he's really doing. Absolutely not. I can sense lies, Dimitri. I'll know immediately if someone's loyal to Sterling, or just following orders. You need me for this. They stared at each other across the office. Another battle of wills in their ongoing war between protection and autonomy. If we do this, Dimitri said finally, we do it my way. Full security detail. The moment something feels wrong, we abort. Lyra agreed. I'm not reckless. I have Kai to think about. Speaking of Kai, Dr. Winters interjected, there's something else. His development is accelerating. The neural pathways associated with oracle abilities are already forming. He may start manifesting gifts much younger than normal. As if in response, Kai stirred in Dimitri's arms, silver eyes blinking open. He looked directly at Lyra and said clearly, "Mama, bad man coming." Everyone froze. "He's 6 months old," Dr. Winters breathed. "He shouldn't be able to." An alarm blared through the complex. Dimitri was on his feet instantly, passing Kai to Lyra. "Security breach in the East Wing," a guard reported through the intercom. "Unknown hostiles, moving toward the royal quarters." "Sterling's making his move early," Vera said, already pulling up security feeds. 6 teams, professional mercenaries by the look of them. "Get to the safe room," Dimitri commanded Lyra. "Now." "Come with us," she said, grabbing his arm. "Please. I have to lead the defense." "Go." But Kai started crying, not his normal baby cry, but something high and keening that made everyone wince. "No," he wailed, tiny hands reaching for Dimitri. "Stay, stay." The lights flickered. Then the windows exploded inward. Dimitri threw himself over Lyra and Kai, shielding them from the glass. Gas canisters rolled across the floor, releasing thick smoke that burned their lungs. "Oracle child located," a mechanical voice said through the smoke. "Preparing for extraction." "Like hell," Dimitri snarled, his form rippling as he began to shift. Lyra clutched Kai tighter, backing toward the door, but more figures appeared, tactical gear, gas masks, weapons designed to take down werewolves. "Dr. Sterling sends his regards," one said, raising a tranquilizer gun of power. Before he could fire, Vera appeared behind him, moving with lethal grace. The man dropped, but more kept coming. "There are too many," Vera shouted. "We need to—" The ceiling crashed down. Through the hole, more mercenaries rappelled in. Dimitri roared, his wolf form massive and terrifying, tearing through attackers with savage efficiency. But they'd planned for an alpha's rage. Electric nets, silver-laced darts, sonic weapons that made Lyra's ears bleed. One by one, the defenders fell. "Stop," a calm voice commanded. Professor Sterling walked through the smoke like he was strolling through a garden. Elderly, distinguished, with kind eyes that made Lyra's skin crawl. "So much violence," he skecked. "All unnecessary. I'm only here for the child." "You'll have to kill me first," Lyra snarled. "Oh, my dear," Sterling smiled. "That was always the plan. Oracle mothers are useless once they've bred. But don't worry, Kai will be well cared for. I have such wonderful experiments planned." Dimitri lunged, but Sterling pressed a button on a small device. The Alpha King crashed down, writhing as electricity coursed through the collar they'd managed to get on him during the fight. "The mighty Alpha King," Sterling mused. "Brought low by his need to protect. How poetic." He reached for Kai, and Lyra tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. Surrounded, outgunned, watching Dimitri convulse on the floor. "Stop," a small voice commanded. Everyone froze. Not by choice, but because they literally couldn't move. Kai's eyes were glowing solid silver, power radiating from his tiny form. The mercenaries stood like statues. Even Sterling seemed trapped, his face a mask of shock and greed. "Bad man, go away," Kai said clearly. "Now." The power pulsed outward, windows shattered, walls cracked. One by one, the mercenaries began screaming, clutching their heads as whatever Kai was doing overwhelmed their minds. "Impossible," Sterling gasped. "He's too young. Go, away," Kai screamed. The blast of power threw everyone except Lyra and Dimitri across the room. Sterling hit the far wall with a sickening crunch. Then, as suddenly as it began, it was over. Kai went limp in Lyra's arms, unconscious but breathing. The attackers who were still alive crawled away. Mind shattered by a 6-month-old's rage. "Dimitri," Lyra sobbed, dropping beside him. He shifted back to human form, the collar sparking and falling away. "Is he alive? He saved us." She looked around at the destruction. "What did we just witness?" "The reason Sterling fears them," Vera said weakly from where she'd fallen. An adult oracle with that power could reshape the world. And through the smoke and debris, Sterling stirred. Still alive, but barely. This isn't over, he wheezed. The summit. Everything changes at the summit. Then his eyes went blank. Dmitri pulled Lyra and Kai against him, all three shaking from adrenaline and terror. We have 3 weeks, he said grimly. Whatever Sterling planned, his followers will carry it out. Then we stop them, Lyra said, feeling Kai's small heartbeat against her chest. All of them. Together? Dmitri asked. Together. The aftermath of Sterling's attack left the royal complex in chaos. As Lyra sat in the medical wing, watching Dr. Winters examine an unconscious Kai, she made a decision that would either save them all or damn them completely. I need to go undercover, she announced. Dmitri, sporting bandages from the fight, looked at her like she'd lost her mind. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Listen to me. She kept her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her throat. Sterling's followers won't just give up. They'll regroup, continue his work. But they don't know I survived the attack. Vera, arm in a sling, caught on first. You want to infiltrate them, pretend to defect. Sterling had files on me. He knew about my ability, my bloodline. If I showed up claiming to have escaped Dimitri's captivity, offering to help them get Kai, she swallowed hard. Quote, they might believe it. No. Dimitri's voice was ice. I won't let you walk into their hands. You won't let me? Lyra stood, anger flashing. My son just nearly killed himself protecting us. I won't sit here waiting for the next attack. Our son, Dmitri corrected quietly, and the admission stopped her cold. You said it yourself, we're in this together. So we find another way. Dr. Winters cleared her throat. There might be a compromise. Look at this. She pulled up brain scans on her tablet. Kai's neural activity during the attack was off the charts, but it followed a pattern. He wasn't just defending, he was communicating. With whom? Vera asked. The other Oracle children. The ones in Sterling's facility. Dr. Winters looked grim. He created a psychic network, connected every Oracle child on the continent for approximately 30 seconds. Lyra sank back down. They know he exists. More than that, they know where he island. And if I'm reading these patterns correctly, Dr. Winters hesitated. They're calling to him. And he's responding, even unconscious. Then we have our way in, Vera said slowly. Not you, Lyra, Kai himself. Point. Absolutely not. Both Lyra and Dmitri said simultaneously. Hear me out. We don't send him, obviously, but we use the connection. Let them think we're bringing him to them. Get close enough to the facility to extract the children. A rescue mission disguised as a surrender, Dmitri mused. It could work, but the risks. Everything we do has risks, Lyra pointed out. At least this gives us a chance to save those children. And over the next week, they planned meticulously. Vera's intelligence network mapped out Sterling's facility, identified his key followers, and intercepted communications revealing their summit plans. It was worse than they'd imagined. A purge, Vera reported at their final briefing. They planned to release a biological weapon at the Winter Summit. Something that targets specific genetic markers, anyone with Oracle ancestry, no matter how distant. Genocide, Dmitri said flatly. How many would die? Thousands, maybe tens of thousands. Anyone who carries the genes, even dormant ones. Lyra looked at Kai, now awake and playing with blocks, seemingly normal except for the occasional flash of silver in his eyes. We stop them. Whatever it takes. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Lyra would approach Sterling's followers claiming Dmitri had been using her and Kai for political gain. She'd offer to trade information about the royal complex's defenses for safe passage. Meanwhile, Dimitri's forces would shadow them, ready to strike when they reached the facility. I still hate this, Dmitri said the night before the operation. They were in the nursery, Kai asleep between them on the floor where they'd been playing. I know. She touched his hand. but it's our best shot. When this is over, he paused, struggling with words. I want to do this properly. You and Kai and me. A real family, not just Dimitri. She stopped him gently. Let's survive first. Then we can talk about forever. He lifted her hand to his lips, a courtly gesture that made her heart race. Then I'll have to make sure we survive. The next morning, Lyra made the call that would set everything in motion. The voice on the other end was suspicious but interested. Dr. Sterling is dead, she said, letting real grief color her voice, grief for all the families he'd destroyed. But I know he was right about the Oracle threat. I have his ultimate prize. I want to make a deal. Prove it, the voice demanded. Lyra held the phone toward Kai. Say hello, baby. Hello, Kai said clearly, then added in that eerie, too knowing voice. You're scared. Why are you scared? Silence. Then, Northridge Airport, Private Hangar 7, 1 hour. Come alone. I need guarantees. You'll get them when we verify the child. 1 hour. The line went dead. Dimitri was already moving, barking orders to his teams. Positions everyone. Remember, we don't move until they reach the facility. Lyra, the moment you feel unsafe, I signal, she finished. We've been over this 100 times. Once more wouldn't hurt, he muttered, then pulled her close. Come back to me, both of you. Always, she promised. The drive to the airport felt both endless and too quick. Kai was quiet in his car seat, occasionally humming a melody she didn't recognize. The tune made her skin prickle with power. Hangar 7 was isolated, surrounded by men who smelled of gun oil and barely controlled violence. Lyra parked and got out slowly, Kai in her arms. Miss Whitmore. A woman emerged from the shadows, severe haircut, doctor's coat, dead eyes. I'm Dr. Marsh. I worked with Professor Sterling. He mentioned you, Lyra lied smoothly. Said you understood his vision. His vision will outlive him. Marsh studied Kai with hungry eyes. May I? Every instinct screamed no, but Lyra forced herself to let the woman approach. Marsh pulled out a device, scanning Kai without touching him, cold. Remarkable. The readings are even stronger than Sterling predicted. She looked up. Why betray the Alpha King? He seemed quite attached to you. Attachment and love aren't the same thing, Lyra said, putting bitterness in her voice. He sees us as possessions, trophies. I want Kai to be more than someone's pet oracle. It was close enough to her early fears about Dimitri that the emotion rang true. Marsh's suspicion eased slightly. The facility is 2 hours north. You'll follow us. Any deviation, any sign of betrayal. I understand. Good. Oh, and Miss Whitmore, your ability won't work on me. Sterling taught us how to mask our emotions from oracle senses. Lyra's blood chilled, but she kept her expression neutral. I wouldn't dream of trying. The convoy moved out, 3 black SUVs surrounding her small car. Through the hidden earpiece, she heard Dimitri's voice. We're tracking you. Stay calm. Easy for him to say. Kai started fussing, picking up on her anxiety. Shh, baby, she soothed. Just a little longer. Bad place, Kai said clearly. Friends need help. Friends. The other Oracle children. He could sense them already. The facility appeared through the trees like a fortress, high walls, electrified fences, guards everywhere. As they passed through the gates, Lyra felt the weight of what they'd undertaken. Somewhere behind these walls were children who needed saving. Somewhere in the shadows, Dimitri's forces waited for their signal. Everything depended on the next few minutes. Dr. Marsh led them into the building, past sterile corridors that smelled of antiseptic and fear. The subjects are kept in the East Wing, she said conversationally. Would you like to see them? Sterling always said witnessing failed bloodlines helped reinforce the necessity of our work. Yes, Lyra forced out. I'd like that. They entered a viewing area overlooking a playroom. Below, a dozen children played listlessly with toys. All had the telltale silver eyes, but they seemed dulled, broken. Kai went rigid in her arms. Friends, he whispered. Then louder. Friends. Every child below looked up simultaneously. Their eyes flared silver, and Lyra felt the psychic wave building. Fascinating. Doctor, Marsh breathed. He's already connecting with them. Sterling theorized about a hive mind possibility, but to see it in action, she never finished the sentence. The children below screamed in unison, and every window in the building shattered. Dimitri's forces poured in like a tide. The raid should have been perfect. Dimitri's forces swept through the facility with military precision, while Lyra held Kai in the observation room, watching the chaos unfold below. But as the sounds of battle echoed through the corridors, Dr. Marsh smiled. "Right on schedule," she said calmly. Lyra's blood froze. "What? And did you really think we didn't know?" Marsh pulled out a tablet, showing security footage of Dimitri's forces taking position. "We've been watching since you left the complex. This was never about capturing you, dear." "Then what?" "It was about bringing the Alpha King here, away from his power base. Vulnerable." Marsh's smile widened. "And confirming our suspicions about your son." The lights cut out. Emergency lighting bathed everything in red. Through the chaos, Lyra heard Dimitri's roar pain, not rage. "Silver gas in the ventilation system," Marsh explained conversationally. "Your people are wearing masks, but they didn't account for aerosolized silver. It won't kill them, but they'll wish it would." "Why?" Lyra clutched Kai tighter. "What's the point of all this, Kari?" Sterling was a visionary, but he thought too small. "Killing oracle wolves? Wasteful. We should be harnessing them." On the screens, Lyra watched Dimitri's team falter. The silver gas brought wolves to their knees, leaving them helpless as facility guards moved in with shock weapons. "You see," Marsh continued, "your son isn't just an oracle, he's a conduit. Through him, we can control every oracle child ever born. Imagine it a network of seers, all feeding information to a central source. We could predict economic shifts, prevent rebellions, maintain perfect order." "You're insane." "I'm practical. The Winter Summit will still happen, but not as Sterling planned. Instead of genocide, we offer integration. Oracle children serve the greater good, their abilities harnessed for stability. Those who refuse..." She shrugged. Kai began to glow, silver light pulsing beneath his skin. The other children were fighting back, she realized, channeling their power through him. "Fascinating," Marsh breathed. "He's younger than any subject we've tested, yet stronger than all of them combined." "Because he's not afraid," Lyra said, understanding flooding through her. "You broke those children, made them fear their own power. But Kai grew up loved, protected. He knows his strength is good." "Sentiment," Marsh waved dismissively. "Love is just chemical conditioning. Watch how easily it breaks." The main doors burst open, but instead of Dimitri's rescue team, council guards poured in. Official werewolf government forces, not facility security. "Dr. Marsh," the lead guard said, "the subjects are ready for transport." "Excellent. And the Alpha King?" "Sedated. The council will decide his fate after the summit." Lyra's mind raced. The council was involved. This went higher than just Sterling's followers. The corruption reached into werewolf government itself. "Take the woman to holding," Marsh ordered. "Sedate the child carefully. We need him functional." "No." Lyra backed away, but there was nowhere to run. That's when Vera appeared, bloody but upright, moving with lethal purpose. "I think not." She'd avoided the silver gas somehow, and her blades found throats before the guards could react. But more kept coming. "Lyra, run!" Vera shouted. "Get to the roof." Extraction. A dart took her mid-sentence. She crumpled, and Lyra was alone again. Except she wasn't. In her arms, Kai was burning with power, and in her earpiece, a familiar voice. "North stairwell. Move now, Dimitri." Somehow still conscious, still fighting, Lyra ran. Behind her, Marsh shouted orders, but Kai's power was building into something vast and unstoppable. Every Oracle child in the building was lending him strength, and their combined fury was terrible. She burst onto the roof to find Dimitri there. Wolf form massive despite the silver in his system. Council helicopters circled overhead, but he stood between them and the roof access, refusing to fall. Together? He asked, and even in wolf form, she understood. Together. The roof access door exploded outward. Marsh emerged with a full security team, but she stopped when she saw Kai. The child was floating 2 feet above Lyra's arms, silver light pouring from him in waves. His eyes were gone, replaced by swirling galaxies of light. When he spoke, it was with dozens of voices. No more cages. No more fear. Free. Contain him! Marsh screamed. But it was too late. The psychic blast wasn't like before. This was controlled, focused, surgical. Every guard dropped, minds simply switched off. The helicopters spun wildly as pilots lost consciousness. Only Marsh remained standing, some kind of mental shielding protecting her. "You don't understand," she gasped. "Without control, they'll destroy everything. Oracle children, seeing all futures, all possibilities, they'll go mad from the visions. We were saving them." "Liar," Kai said with his chorus of voices. "We see the truth. You fear us because we see your future. Empty, alone, paying for your crimes." Marsh pulled a gun, old-fashioned bullet, not tranquilizer. "Then I'll remove the threat." Aimed at Kai, time slowed. Dimitri lunged. Lyra screamed. The gun fired. But the bullet stopped inches from Kai, hanging in the air like a deadly ornament. The child tilted his head, studying it with ancient eyes. "No," he said simply. The bullet reversed course. Marsh looked down at the spreading red on her white coat, surprise replacing arrogance. "Impossible," she whispered, and fell. Kai drifted back into Lyra's arms, power fading but not gone. "Tired, Mama." "I know, baby. You did so good. Power." Dimitri shifted back, immediately wrapping them both in his arms despite his injuries. "The children." "Free," Kai murmured. Doors open. Friends running. Indeed, through the facility's broken windows, Lyra could see small figures fleeing into the forest. Oracle children, finally liberated, scattering before reinforcements arrived. "The summit," Dimitri said urgently. "We have to warn them about the council's corruption." Or, Vera's voice came from the roof access. She was upright again, the sedative apparently not as effective as they'd thought. "We let them think they've won." She was supporting a tablet showing surveillance footage. Everything. Marsh's confession, the council guards, all of it recorded. "Evidence," Lyra breathed. "Enough to burn down their entire conspiracy." Vera smiled sharply. "The summit's in 3 days. Let them gather, thinking they've neutralized us. While we prepare the truth," Dimitri finished. "Every pack leader will see what they tried to do." As sirens wailed in the distance, Lyra looked at her family, blood-soaked and battered but alive. The war wasn't over, but they'd won this battle. "Can you walk?" she asked Dimitri. "For you? Always." They fled into the forest, following the paths the Oracle children had taken. Behind them, the facility burned, Kai's residual power setting fires that would destroy any remaining research. But ahead lay the greater challenge, exposing corruption that went to the heart of werewolf society. At least, Lyra thought as Dimitri's hand found hers, they'd face it together. The abandoned ranger station, 50 miles from the facility, became their temporary refuge. As Dr. Winters tended to Dimitri's silver poisoning, and the rescued team members recovered, Lyra made a disturbing discovery about her son. "He's not sleeping," she told Dimitri, watching Kai play with blocks at 3 a.m., his eyes swirling with that cosmic light. "It's been 36 hours since the facility, and he hasn't slept once." "The power surge?" Dr. Winters suggested, joining them. "His neural activity is still elevated from connecting with all those children." "It's more than that." Kai looked up at his mother. "I see everything now, Mama. All the paths, all the choices. It's very loud. Dimitri knelt beside the toddler. What do you see, little king? Kai's expression went distant. The summit. Blood and lies and choosing. You have to choose, Dimi. Crown or family. Can't have both. Can't have both. That's not Dimitri started. But Kai wasn't finished. Mama has to choose too. Truth or safety. Show everyone what you are, or hide forever. His cosmic eyes turned to Lyra. You're scared of the wrong thing. What do you mean, baby? The bad people know now. About what you can do. Really do. Kai went back to his blocks. They're scared too. Vera burst in, tablet in hand. We have a problem. The council's moved up the summit. It's tomorrow night, not in 3 days. They know we escaped, Dimitri growled. They're accelerating their plans. There's more. They're requiring genetic testing at the door. Anyone with oracle markers will be detained for their safety. A trap, Lyra said. They'll grab every potential oracle in one sweep. Unless we expose them first, Vera said. I've been analyzing the footage. If we can get this to the right people. Who? Dimitri demanded. Half the council is compromised. We don't know who to trust. I do, Lyra said quietly. Everyone turned to her. I can feel it when someone's lying, but I can also sense truth. Deep, bone-level honesty. If you get me close enough to the pack leaders, I'll know who's clean. Absolutely not, Dimitri said. You'll be walking into a room full of people who want to use you. As opposed to hiding here while they enslave every oracle child on the continent? Mama's right, Kai said, still playing. Sometimes the only way out is through. But you need to tell them the real truth. Which truth? Lyra asked. Kai looked at her with those impossible eyes. About why Daddy saved us, the real why, Dimitri, went very still. Kai. She needs to know before the choosing. Kai's voice carried certainty beyond his months. Tell her about the mate dream. The silence stretched until Lyra couldn't bear it. Dimitri? He ran a hand through his hair, exhaustion and something else, vulnerability clear on his face. The night before your plane crash, I had a dream. Not a normal dream, a mate dream. Lyra's breath caught. Mate dreams were sacred among wolves. Visions of one's true mate, sent by the moon herself. But Dimitri was Alpha King. He was supposed to be above such things. I saw you, he continued, dying in twisted metal, protecting your child. I felt the bond snap into place, felt it tearing as you slipped away. I woke up screaming. He met her eyes. That's why I was flying that route. That's why I insisted we land. Not coincidence, destiny. But I was mated to Reginald. False mate, Dr. Winters interrupted softly. I've suspected since I first examined you. The genetic markers don't match. Reginald used old pack magic to force a bond that wasn't real. True mates are equal. What you had was enslavement. Lyra sank into a chair, mind reeling. You've known this whole time? That we're true mates, Dimitri confirmed. I didn't tell you because I wanted you to choose me freely, not feel obligated by some mystical bond. The irony being, Vera observed, that hiding it might be what dooms you both. True mate bonds are sacred under werewolf law, corrupted. Even the corrupted council couldn't openly act against them. Which is why we're telling everyone at the summit, Kai announced cheerfully. After Mama shows them the bad people, and Dimi chooses family over crown. I'm not giving up my crown, Dimitri protested. I need it to protect. Can't protect anyone if you're dead? Kai said simply. The choosing comes. Crown or mate. Old law says you can't have both if the mate is questioned. But Lyra felt the pieces clicking into place. They'll challenge our bond, say it's false like Reginald's was, force you to choose between keeping your throne or claiming me. Let them try, Dimitri snarled. No, Lyra said firmly. We use it, turn their trap against them. She looked at Vera. How public can we make this summit? Very. It's traditionally broadcast to all packs. Why? Because we're going to give them a show they'll never forget. Lyra stood, new determination flooding through her. They want to question our bond? Let them. In front of everyone. While I'm touching them. Understanding dawned on Vera's face. Your ability works through physical contact. You could expose every lie, every conspiracy. On live broadcast, Dmitri finished. Brilliant. Insane, but brilliant. It's dangerous, Dr. Winters warned. Using your ability that extensively could burn out your neural pathways. Or, Kai said quietly, it could wake up what's sleeping. Everyone turned to stare at the toddler. Mama's not just a lie detector, he said, cosmic eyes swirling. She's an oracle too, just sleeping. The fire at the summit wakes her up. Then everyone sees truth whether they want to or not. That's not possible, Lyra said. I've never shown oracle abilities. Because you never died, Kai said simply. Death woke me up early. Your first death wakes you up at the summit. First death? Dimitri's voice was sharp with alarm. Kai just smiled and went back to his blocks. The next 24 hours passed in a blur of preparation. Vera coordinated with their remaining allies, ensuring the summit broadcast would reach every pack. Dr. Winters prepared medical equipment in case Lyra's neural system couldn't handle the strain. Dmitri made the political preparations, ready to challenge or be challenged as needed. And Lyra? She practiced. On volunteer team members, she pushed her ability further than ever before. Not just sensing lies, but pulling truths from depths people didn't know existed. It hurts, she told Dmitri that night, nose bleeding after a particularly intense session. Like something inside me is trying to break free. Then stop, he urged. We'll find another way. No, she gripped his hands. Kai's never wrong about his visions. If this is what it takes to save those children, to stop the corruption, then I'll do it. Even if it kills you? Even then, she saw the anguish in his eyes and softened. But I don't think it will. I think I've been running from this my whole life. What I really am. What are you? She looked at their sleeping son, power flickering beneath his skin even in rest. His mother, your mate, and maybe something more. The morning of the summit dawned gray and cold. As they prepared to leave for the venue, Kai tugged on Lyra's dress, cuff. Remember, Mama, when the fire comes, don't fight it. Let it burn away the sleep. He smiled, power. I'll be there to catch you when you fall. Promise? She asked, throat tight. Promise. Family catches family. Always. As their convoy headed toward the summit venue, and the confrontation that would reshape their world, Lyra held her son close and felt the truth of his words. Whatever happened tonight, they were family. And family faced the fire together. The Winter Summit venue was a masterpiece of werewolf architecture, a massive glass dome set into a mountain, designed to showcase power and transparency. Ironic, Lyra thought, considering the corruption festering within. Security's triple normal, Vera reported through their earpieces. They're spooked. Good, Dmitri said from beside Lyra. He wore his formal Alpha King regalia, looking every inch the ruler's power. But his hand found hers in the car, trembling slightly. Ready? No, she admitted, adjusting Kai in her lap. They'd dressed him in a tiny formal outfit that made him look heartbreakingly innocent, despite the cosmic power swirling in his eyes. But that's never stopped us before. The genetic testing checkpoint loomed ahead. Lyra's heart hammered as they approached, but Vera had done her work. Technical difficulties with the scanners. The guard apologized, waving them through. Please proceed, Your Majesty. Inside, the dome was packed. Every pack leader on the continent had come, drawn by tradition and politics. The corrupted council members sat at the high table, trying to project confidence despite the glares they received. They know something's wrong, Dmitri murmured. The other alphas can smell the deception, pyres. But they don't know what, Lyra replied. Not yet. They were seated at the king's table, prominent and exposed. Lyra felt hundreds of eyes tracking their every move. Whispers followed about the Omega who'd survived a plane crash, about the king who'd claimed her, about the child with impossible eyes. The council president, Edwin Blackstone, rose to begin the ceremonies. Lyra had met him once before, all smooth politician smiles and hidden agendas. Now, her enhanced senses screamed warnings. This man reeked of lies. Honored alphas, Blackstone began. We gather tonight in unprecedented times. Threats to our stability require unprecedented measures. Honored alphas, here it comes. Vera warned through the earpiece. Before we proceed with normal business, Blackstone continued, the council must address a matter of urgent concern. His eyes found them. The legitimacy of bonds claimed under questionable circumstances. And Dmitri rose slowly, power radiating from him. Speak plainly, Blackstone. You question my mate, Canago. I question. Blackstone said carefully, whether trauma and proximity can create false bonds, whether an omega fleeing one alpha might imprint incorrectly on her rescuer. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. This was bold, even for corrupted counselors. Furthermore, Blackstone pressed on. We've received testimony that Miss Whitmore possesses dangerous abilities, that she can manipulate perceptions, make people believe lies are truth. Interesting theory, Lyra said, standing despite Dimitri's warning hand. Would you like to test it? The dome fell silent. By all means. Blackstone smiled, thinking he'd trapped her. Let the Omega demonstrate her supposed gift. Lyra passed Kai to Dimitri and walked to the center of the dome. The space was designed for challenges, with perfect acoustics and sightlines. Everyone would see and hear what happened next. I'll need volunteers, she said calmly. People who believe they have nothing to hide. Several alphas stood, eager to prove their honesty. She started with them, taking their hands one by one. Alpha Morrison thinks his son would make a better king than Dimitri, she said after touching the first. The alpha sputtered denials, but she continued. He's been promised territory if he supports the council tonight. Alpha Chen is being blackmailed, she said after the second. The council has photos of his brother's illegal fighting ring. One by one, she revealed truths. Not devastating ones she was building to that, but enough to show her power was real. The crowd grew restless, excited. This was better than any political theater they'd expected. Enough games, Blackstone snarled. If you can truly detect lies, then face me. Lyra smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. She approached the council table, but before she could touch Blackstone, Kai's voice rang out. Now. The lights cut out. In the darkness, Lyra heard Vera's team moving, setting up something around the dome's perimeter. When the lights returned, massive screens had descended, ready to broadcast whatever came next to every pack watching. What is this? Blackstone demanded. Insurance, Dimitri said coldly. Please, continue your test. And Dimitri, Blackstone, had no choice now. Backing down would confirm his guilt. He extended his hand to Lyra, confidence wavering. The moment their skin touched, Lyra gasped. The lies were so thick, so layered, they nearly choked her. But beneath them, she found what she needed. Edwin Blackstone, she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the dome. You orchestrated the murder of 17 Omega children in the past 5 years. Lies, he shouted, trying to pull away, but her grip was iron. You funded Sterling's research. You knew about the facility. She stopped, a new horror revealing itself. You're planning to kill every Oracle child at this summit. The genetic scanners weren't to detain them, they were to mark them. The fire suppression system has been replaced with aerosolized poison. Anyway, pandemonium. Alphas with Oracle children lunged for exits. Others turned on the council, demanding answers. Enough! Blackstone roared, and Lyra felt something shift. Dark magic, old and wrong, poured off him. If we cannot control them, we'll eliminate them all. He pulled out a device, the trigger for the poison system. But before he could press it, Kai spoke. No. The word carried power that made the dome shake. Every Oracle child in the building, there were more than anyone had realized, stood in unison. Their eyes blazed silver, and their voices joined Kai's. No more. The device crumbled to dust in Blackstone's hand. But he wasn't finished. With a snarl, He shifted, but his wolf was wrong. Twisted by dark magic, corrupted by his crimes. You want truth, Omega? He snarled at Lyra. Here's truth, your kind is too dangerous to exist. He lunged. Dimitri moved to intercept, but Lyra raised her hand. Stop. The command hit Blackstone like a physical blow. He crashed to the ground, writhing as something inside. Lyra finally broke free. Fire. Not real fire. Oracle fire. Burning through her veins, her mind, her soul. Her eyes went silver like Kai's, but where his held cosmos, hers held infernos of truth. I see you, she said, and her voice echoed with power. All of you. The fire spread. Every person in the dome gasped as Lyra's awakened oracle ability touched their minds. Not invasively, she wasn't that kind of oracle. But for one moment, everyone saw everyone else's truth. The corrupted stood revealed. The innocent shone clear. The complex showed their layers. And through it all, the mate bond between Lyra and Dimitri blazed like a beacon, undeniable and true. When the fire finally faded, Lyra collapsed. Dimitri caught her, Kai already reaching for his mother. Mama's awake now, Kai said proudly. Told you family catches family. Blackstone and his conspirators lay unconscious, their minds overwhelmed by the truths they'd tried to hide. Around the dome, pack leaders stared at each other with new understanding. Well, one alpha said into the stunned silence, I think that settles the question of legitimacy. All in favor of recognizing the mate bond between Alpha King Dmitry Volkov and Oracle Lyra Whitmore, another called. The response was unanimous. And all in favor of a full investigation into the Council's crimes? Again, unanimous. As medics rushed to tend the unconscious conspirators, Dmitri helped Lyra sit up. That was incredibly stupid, he told her. And incredibly brave. It was necessary, she replied, then looked at the screen still broadcasting to every pack. They all know now. About the Oracle children. About the corruption. Things have to change. Power story. They will, he promised. We'll make sure of it. Kai crawled into their laps, silver eyes bright with joy. Family won, he announced. Now we get to the good part. What good part? Lyra asked. The part where we build something better, together. Looking around at the pack, leaders already organizing to help the Oracle children. At the corrupted council being arrested. At the truth finally revealed. Lyra had to agree. The hard part was over. Now came the healing. 6 months after the summit's revelations, the world had changed dramatically. The former royal complex had been transformed into the Oracle Integration Center, where gifted children learned to control their abilities without fear. Lyra stood on the main balcony, watching dozens of silver-eyed kids play in the gardens below. Pointonation. The Vancouver family arrived this morning, Vera reported, joining her. 3 Oracle children, all under 7. The youngest is barely older than Kai. How are they adjusting? Better than expected. Kai's been talking to them for weeks, preparing them. Vera smiled. Your son has quite the network. Indeed, Kai had become something of an Oracle ambassador. His unique early awakening, allowing him to connect with frightened children worldwide. At just over a year old, he spoke in full sentences and moved with purpose that belied his age. Mama? Speak of the devil. Kai toddled onto the balcony, dragging Dmitri by the hand. New friends want to meet you. In a moment, retry. Continue. Edit. In a moment, sweetheart, Lyra said. Let me finish with Aunt Vera first. The legislation passed this morning. Vera continued. Oracle children now have full protection under international werewolf law. Anyone who harms them faces life imprisonment. And the research facilities? Converted to healing centers. Dr. Winters is overseeing the transition. Vera paused. There's something else. The European PACs want to establish their own integration center. They've requested you and Dmitri visit next month. Lyra felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. In 6 months, she'd gone from rejected Omega to the most influential oracle advocate in the world. We'll discuss it at tonight's meeting, Dmitri said. For now, someone has been very patient. Kai beamed and tugged them toward the gardens. The new oracle children were gathered in a circle, their silver eyes wide with wonder and lingering fear. This is Mama, Kai announced proudly. She makes the scary go away. And this is Dimi, he's the Alpha King, but he's not scary at all. He gives really good hugs. One little girl, maybe 5 years old, stepped forward shyly. Is it true you burned with truth fire at the summit? It's true, Lyra said gently, kneeling to the child's level. But it didn't hurt. It felt like finally waking up after a long sleep. Will I burn too? Maybe, when you're older. Every oracle's gift is different. Lyra smiled. What's your name? Luna. That's beautiful. Would you like to see something cool, Luna? The girl nodded. Lyra held out her hand, letting a small flame of oracle fire dance on her palm, controlled now, no longer the wild inferno of her awakening. Quote, "The fire shows truth?" she explained as the children gathered closer. But truth isn't scary. Truth is what helps us understand each other better. Can I try? Luna asked. Not yet. But Kai can help you practice with smaller gifts. He's very good at teaching. Kai, puffed up with pride. I'm the best teacher. Yesterday I helped Thomas see tomorrow's breakfast menu. The children giggled, tension easing. This was the real work, showing these traumatized kids that their gifts were blessings, not curses. That evening, the Integration Center's council met in what used to be Dimitri's sterile office. Now it was warm with children's artwork and family photos. The attendees included Dr. Winters, Vera, several Reformed pack leaders, and surprisingly, Elena Rodriguez from the original sanctuary. Enrollment requests have tripled, Elena reported. Not just Oracle children, their families want to relocate here. Portland is becoming a haven, which brings its own challenges. Dr. Winters added, housing, education, security, we're growing faster than our infrastructure can handle. The European PACs want to help, Vera said. They're offering resources, expertise, land, but they want something in return. Let me guess, Dmitri said dryly. They want Lyra to verify their PAC hierarchies, root out any remaining corruption. Essentially, yes. They're calling it the Truth Tour. Lyra winced. Since her awakening, every PAC wanted her to validate their leadership. It was exhausting, but she understood the necessity. The summit had revealed how deep the corruption ran. I'll do it, she said, but on our terms. And Kai comes with us. Of course he does, Dmitri said, reaching over to squeeze her hand. We're not separating our family for politics. Kai, who'd been quietly coloring at a small table, looked up. Europe has old oracle places, sleeping places. Mama needs to wake them up. Everyone turned to stare at the toddler. What sleeping places? Dr. Winters asked carefully. The first sanctuaries, where oracles hid during the bad times. Still there, still waiting. He went back to coloring. We'll need them soon. Soon for what? Vera pressed. But Kai just hummed, lost in his drawing of what looked like a vast tree made of silver light. I hate when he does that, Elena muttered. Drops prophecies like breadcrumbs, clad. He's still learning to articulate what he sees, Lyra defended. The visions aren't always clear, even to him. The meeting continued, covering logistics and security concerns. But Lyra found her attention drifting to Kai's drawing. There was something about that tree. Later that night, after Kai was asleep, she and Dmitri stood on their private balcony. The city lights sparkled below, peaceful for once. Are you happy? Dmitri asked suddenly. That's a complicated question. Then give me a complicated answer. Lyra considered. I'm fulfilled. I'm purposeful. I love our life, our work, our family. But happy? Sometimes the weight of what we're building feels crushing. Would you change it? Go back to being just Lyra? Never. The answer was immediate. This is who I was meant to be. Who we were meant to be. Dmitri pulled her against him. Even with all the politics and prophecies and exhausting responsibilities? Even then, she looked up at him. What about you? You essentially gave up absolute power to share leadership of the center. Any regrets? Only one. Which is? We never got a proper honeymoon. His smile was wolfish. Too busy saving the world. Too busy saving the world. The world can wait a few days, she said, surprising him. Vera and Elena can handle things. Maybe after the Europe trip? You're serious? Deadly. We've earned some time just for us. Before he could respond, Kai's voice drifted from inside. 3 days in the mountains. That's all you get before the calling comes. He's supposed to be asleep, Lyra sighed. Oracle children don't really sleep, Kai called out cheerfully. We just pretend, so you don't worry. Dmitri laughed, the sound rich and warm. Our life is insane. Beautifully insane, Lyra corrected. They went inside to find Kai sitting up in bed, silver eyes bright in the darkness. Tell us about the calling, Dmitri said, sitting on the bed's edge. Not yet. First mountains, then Europe, then the tree wakes up. Kai yawned, looking more like a normal toddler. Can we have pancakes tomorrow? Of course, Lyra said, tucking him back in. With blueberries? And truth syrup. There's no such thing as truth syrup. There will be. Thomas is going to invent it next week. They left him to his dreams or visions and retreated to their own room. A tree that wakes up, Dmitri mused. That's new. Everything with Oracle children is new, Lyra reminded him. We're writing the handbook as we go. Together. Together. The word had become their touchstone. Whatever came next, European politics, mysterious trees, impossible prophecies, they'd face it as one. Outside, Portland slept peacefully. The Integration Center stood as a beacon of hope, protecting those who'd once been hunted. And in a small bed, a remarkable child dreamed of silver forests and truth that would reshape the world. But that was tomorrow's challenge. Tonight was for family, for peace, for the quiet joy of survival transformed into triumph. 2 years later, the European Oracle Summit was unlike anything the werewolf world had seen. Instead of pack leaders posturing for power, Oracle children and their families gathered in an ancient castle in the Swiss Alps, one of the sleeping places Kai had spoken of. Lyra stood before the assembled crowd, no longer the frightened Omega who'd boarded a doomed plane. Now she commanded respect with quiet authority, her oracle fire a controlled tool rather than a wild force. This place has been waiting for centuries, she addressed the gathering, hidden by our ancestors when the world wasn't ready for oracle gifts. Today, we awaken it not as a refuge, but as a bridge. Perfect. Beside her, Kai, now 3, and unnervingly articulate translated her words into the psychic network that connected oracle children worldwide. In the crowd, Dmitri watched with pride, their second child baby Anya sleeping in his arms. Quote, the pregnancy had been a surprise. Oracles rarely had multiple gifted children, but Anya had been born with eyes like sunset, not silver, but gold with silver flecks. A bridge builder, Kai had announced upon meeting his sister. She'll connect oracles with normal wolves, make understanding easier. Now, as Lyra placed her hands on the castle's ancient stone altar, she felt the power Kai had predicted. Not her fire this time, but something older. The castle itself began to glow with soft silver light. By the old laws and the new, Lyra spoke the words that had come to her in dreams. I awaken this sanctuary. Let it be a place of learning, not hiding, of connection, not separation. The light pulsed outward, and suddenly, every oracle in attendance gasped. The castle had become a psychic amplifier, allowing even the youngest children to share their gifts safely. Luna, the girl from the Portland Center, laughed with delight. I can see everyone's happiness. It's like golden butterflies. Parents wept as they experienced their children's gifts firsthand. Pack leaders, who'd been skeptical, found themselves understanding what they'd feared. The divide between oracle and ordinary began to blur. The tree wakes, Kai said softly. And Lyra saw it too, a vast network of silver light, connecting every oracle sanctuary worldwide, with this castle as its heart. My queen. Someone called out, and Lyra turned to see representatives from a dozen packs. We pledge our territories as safe havens for oracle families. The title still felt strange. After Dmitri had officially made her his mate and queen, many packs had adopted the terminology, but Lyra preferred her other titles: advocate, teacher, mother. The pledges are witnessed, Dmitri said formally, passing Anya to Dr. Winters to free his hands for the ceremony. The oracle accords are now law. The Xiomara's stories begin with power and sermons, the big fairy many descream tellity of the personintons, the braid of Helperian succiftin, the probably because of the power, the braid of. It had taken 2 years of negotiation, but they'd finally achieved legal protection for oracles in every werewolf territory. No more hunting, no more fear. No more Sterling-style facilities masquerading as research. As the ceremony concluded and families began exploring the castle, Vera approached with a tablet. The human governments are asking for a meeting. They've noticed the changes in werewolf society. Of course they have, Dmitri said. What do they want? To understand. To potentially integrate oracle abilities into human society. Vera looked troubled. It's what we wanted, but, Poklem. But humans aren't ready. Lyra finished. Not yet. 57 years, Kai piped up. That's when the first human oracle is born. Then we'll be ready to talk. Everyone stared at him. 57 years? Dmitri asked. Kai nodded. Lily Chen. She'll be born in Singapore to a mixed family. I'm going to be her teacher when I'm old. You see that far ahead now? Doctor, Winters asked, fascinated. Sometimes, when it's important, Kai squirmed to be put down. Can I go play with the other kids now? They're making light pictures in the great hall. Lyra nodded, watching him run off with the casual confidence of a child who'd never known persecution. That, more than anything, showed how far they'd come. He's remarkable, Elena said, joining them. The older woman had become the castle's first guardian, overseeing its transformation into a functional sanctuary. They all are. These children will reshape our world. They already have, Lyra said softly. That evening, the castle hosted its first truth circle, a tradition Lyra had started, where anyone could ask questions and receive honest answers. She sat in the center, Dmitri beside her, as wolves from across Europe brought their concerns. My son just manifested oracle abilities, one father said. I'm terrified I'll fail him. Power. Every parent feels that, Lyra assured him. Oracle or not. The fact that you're worried means you're already on the right path. Quote, how do we know if rejection is real or trauma bonding? A young Omega asked, and Lyra's heart ached at the familiar fear. Real rejection leaves you free, she said. Trauma bonding leaves you broken. If someone truly rejects you, they don't try to control or hurt you afterward. They let you go. Question after question. She and Dmitri offered guidance. Not as rulers, but as survivors who'd found their way through darkness. As the evening wound down, Kai returned, covered in paint from the art session. Mama, I made you something. He proudly presented a canvas, covered in silver handprints, his and dozen of other oracle children's. It's our family tree, he explained. All the oracle families connected together. See, we're at the center because we started it. Lyra felt tears prick her eyes. On that desperate flight 3 years ago, she'd thought she was alone. Now, she was surrounded by hundreds who called her family. It's perfect, she told him. No, Kai said seriously, but it's getting better. Every day, it gets better. Later, as the castle settled for the night, Lyra found herself in the highest tower with Dmitri and their children. Through the window, she could see the silver network Kai had awakened, invisible to most but clear to oracle eyes. Do you ever think about that flight? Dmitri asked quietly. What would have happened if I hadn't been there? You would have been, Lyra said with certainty. Maybe not that exact flight, but somewhere, somehow, we would have found each other. We were meant to do this work together. Anya stirred in her sleep, and for a moment her sunset eyes opened, fixing on something beyond the room. She's seeing, Kai whispered. Baby's first vision. What does she see? Dmitri asked. Happy things. Dancing and music and lots of cake. Kai grinned. I think she's seeing my wedding. You're 3, Lyra reminded him. I know. That's why it's really far away. He yawned. Can we go home tomorrow? I miss my dragons. His collection of dragon toys had taken over half their Portland residence. Despite having access to every oracle gift imaginable, Kai was still very much a normal child in many ways. After the closing ceremony, Dmitri promised. As they prepared for bed in their castle suite, Lyra reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From rejection and attempted murder to becoming the center of a worldwide revolution. From a desperate Omega with a crying baby to a queen reshaping society. No regrets? Dmitri asked, echoing his question from years before. None, she said firmly. Every painful step led us here. Even the plane crash? Especially that. It broke me open so I could become who I needed to be. The fire that awakened you, he murmured, and brought me to you. They settled into bed with their children between them. Kai already asleep despite claiming Oracle. Children never really slept. Anya peaceful in her bassinet. Think we'll get that honeymoon eventually? Dmitri asks. When Anya's older. When the network is stable. When the world doesn't need saving, he finished. So never. Probably not. She agreed. But this? Our chaotic, complicated, world-changing life? It's better than any honeymoon. Even with prophecies and politics and exhausting responsibilities? Even then, especially then, outside, the silver network pulsed with life. Hundreds of Oracle children slept safely, their gifts celebrated instead of feared. Families that might have been torn apart were whole. And at the center of it all, a family that had chosen each other against all odds. The rejected Omega who'd boarded a plane to die had become so much more. Mother, queen, oracle, teacher, but most importantly, herself. Fully awakened, fully loved, fully alive. As sleep took her, Lyra heard Kai mumble something about more dragons in the morning and smiled. Let tomorrow bring its challenges. Tonight, she was exactly where she belonged. Surrounded by love, protected by trust, and part of something greater than she'd ever imagined. Plane crash. The plane crash that should have ended everything had instead been the beginning. And what a beginning it had been.